Travis might get so. In The Art of War, they teach how to destroy your enemy with the least amount of casualties to your troops. And the key factor in that is misinformation and disinformation, dividing and conquering your enemy by having them do all the work for you. And the key to misinformation and disinformation is to have a population, have your enemy be unfamiliar with logic and get them to embrace fallacy. That's it in a nutshell. Lots of people explain it in a very complex manner, but that's what it boils down to. And so if the enemy were to be properly educated in identification of fallacy and the proper use of logic in communication, they would not be deceived by such influences, whether external or internal. And as you are well aware, America is not taught properly on logic and the identification of fallacy, as we have a strong, violent division over misinformation and disinformation, and even of science denials on both sides of the dichotomy. This is a psychological warfare that is being used against America, and it is what the enemy does through the whole process until the enemy is weakened sufficiently to produce the least amount of casualties. We have a Russian fleet right by Hawaii, as the latest news is reported, as well as they're bombing UK ships in the Black Sea or Baltic Sea, one of the three. But it's this lack of education in America that is immediately recognizable with Mormon apologetics. Kwaku, for example. That's why I often pick on him, is because I saw his video about how he claims that plagiarism is proof of the Book of Mormon's truth. See, apologists in the Mormon Church do not debate me. They do not challenge me to a debate, to be on some kind of a video conference where Kwaku will go and talk and debate others of ex-Mormondom. He's even been seen debating a Christian. The fact that the video was put out there suggests to me that it was rigged, and that both sides went away believing they won and they were right, and blah blah blah. So I'm not going to watch it to find out. I don't care. It's all a fraud. When you use fallacy, you automatically lose, and you don't get points in a debate. And if they don't know this, that could explain why they still keep going. But it could also be because the rest of the majority likewise do not understand that what they are spewing is fallacy. It's all lies, deceptions, and rabbit hole tangents, or shall I use a Book of Mormon term, crooked paths in the midst of darkness leading to the great and spacious building, away from the tree of life that the Book of Mormon's plagiarized. Written by Sidney Rigdon for the majority, written by Joseph Smith Sr., replacing the 116 pages. See, the Tanners knew of this. If you know Gerald and Sandra Tanner, Gerald's dead, Sandra's still alive, but they've got the documents of Joseph Smith Sr.'s dreams about the Tree of Life. They know he might be involved with the New Israelites. And that's what's frustrating, is that they're awesome for the collection of documentation and primary source information, and yet they have no clue how to put it all together. They're not very good at investigation. So a guy like me comes along, finds them, finds their documents, puts the pieces of the puzzle together, bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, you've got a brand new dress. I'm sure all of you know what I'm referencing. I shouldn't have to explain it. And so, this is why apologists will not debate me. And I've had apologists speak on behalf of the apologists, because the apologists won't communicate with me. They stay away. They may talk about me on their channel. I saw a Kwaku video where I was quoted, and it's strange because I was quoted correctly, and he just didn't discuss it as if everybody understood that I was wrong, but I'm right, and very confusing why he used that clip. Nonetheless, que sera, sera. And they claim that I'll just ban them from my channel whenever they argue the truth about the church, that Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon with the gift and power of God. Remember my rocks in a hat trick this morning? Yeah, no. Because in a debate, all I would do is open up with, where's the plates? You need the plates to argue the Book of Mormon. Without the plates, there is no debate. The debate's over, I win. And they don't seem to understand that, as they continue to debate with others over geography or horses in America or money coins and the inability of conceiving of Reformed Egyptian. The name Alma is a boy's name, finding other things elsewhere in the world, saying, oh, we found Alma as a boy's name, therefore the Book of Mormon's true. No, where's the plates? And so, as you can tell, the church is allowing apologetics to continue in the church as they put up a smokescreen defense for the prophets' continuous lying about church history. And I had designed a whole video, which was going to take a very long time because I'd have to go over the whole psycho trap as a pseudoscience and a denier of science and truth, because you do understand psychology is fake. Oh, you don't? Oh, wow. And you can tell because our government wants to embrace psychos. In Utah, oh yeah, they're very powerful. Their word alone can determine the rest of someone's life. And if you didn't know, Brian David Mitchell was first prosecuted in the state courts for Elizabeth Smart. But he acted crazy, and so somebody reported him to the judge saying, oh, we think he needs to be evaluated. And so the judge ordered an evaluation, and he's crazy. He can't be tried for his crimes. Oh no! He's going to get away with it and live a lavish life in the Provo Asylum. They can't call it an asylum because John F. Kennedy signed an act saying that we're not allowed to have asylums in America anymore. So they just change it to a hospital, and bada book, bada boom, bibbity bobbity boo, a new dress. Isn't that great? And so yeah, he was down there with Wanda Barzee, because they're peas in a pod. And turns out the feds were informed by Senator Orrin Hatch, who was best buddies with Mr. Smart, who didn't like that he was being tortured in a mental asylum for the rest of his life. That's too comfy of a life for him. And so the feds decided to prosecute him. And so they had him reevaluated through the feds this time. What do you know? He's cured of his mental illness. He's not crazy after all. That's amazing. His little court outbursts? Wow. It's all just a show. And the other evaluators for the state got played as chumps. Or did they? There's some dirty deals done dirt cheap here in Utah. And they don't need to use TNT. And so yes, with that little stunt alone, psychology is a fraud. There is no such thing as mental illness. And so yeah, I had planned a whole video going over how psychology is a fraud, because it sets up for explaining how the church is utilizing their art of war tactics on Mormons and ex-Mormons. And then I would also have to explain the Trump MAGA, because Trump goes to the extreme. He throws out waves of different types of the psychological misinformation, disinformation campaign. And that's why the video would take forever. Because I got up to at least 5 different types of tactics that he utilizes and had been utilizing on America for the past 4 years, of which the deep state Dems were literally getting destroyed. He outsmarted them. And yes, do you remember that there were 20 psychos who did a little letter thing and then published a book on it, on how Trump is crazy? He needs psychological help. He's got a mental illness. Yeah, no, he's an evil genius. He's using psychological warfare. That's what mob bosses do. That's why the church does it. And so, just understand that there is information that needs to be given to you. And I was going to explain it in the concept of excommunications, because the church utilizes that psychological warfare with the threat of excommunication. And ex-Mormons get caught up into it, because you hear those who get excommunicated, they're like shocked. Oh no, the church wants me excommunicated? Well, yeah. You said masturbation was okay, but porn for the masturbation is an addiction. Get out of the church. Get out of psychology. If you don't remember the woman who got excommunicated recently, she's a psycho. Do not understand. I'm not going to go there. We're not going to go there. We need sex ed along with teaching logic and the identification of fallacy, because we are getting pistol whipped, to use a title from one of Steven Seagal's movies. And so I wish YouTube would just back off and leave me alone so that I can help educate and warn all of you. Because I know the majority of my viewers are not Mormon, because they can't play fair. They want to argue, they want to use ad hominem, which is a fallacy. Oh, you're stupid, you're apostate, you're Korahart. Ad hominem, you lose, I win by default. And they refuse to accept it. That's how far along America is, as well as Mormons who are, and ex-Mormons as well, but how everybody is so far along in this warfare. We're nearing the end of it. And how do I get through? How do I break the barrier? How do I get YouTube to stop hacking my computer, tampering with my internet service, tampering with my programs, tampering with my YouTube channel? And just, that's part of the warfare beyond the misinformation and disinformation, is that you got to silence those who speak the truth. And in some cases, you frame them, like the airport director for Utah, Salt Lake City airport director. Yeah, oh, we found 50,000 child porn images all of a sudden appearing on his computer. Get them. Oh, Governor Herbert wanted him to open up the airport during a pandemic, and he said no? That's coincidental timing. I wonder whatever happened to him, because he's gone. Still gone. But Herbert got the airport opened. Oh, they just did a video the other day on the news about how it's a very long walk in the airport now, with the new annexes built and all that. Isn't that great? You do know the Delta variant is here in Utah, and according to the stats, it's targeting our teenagers. And of course the hospitalizations are increasing along with the case numbers, and so too are the deaths. Oh, but we don't have to wear masks if we're fully vaccinated, even though half of Utah is only fully vaccinated. Alrighty. Have fun not listening to me.